Yo, what's up guys? So today I want to talk about the Amazement archetype, as it is a very interesting archetype that's all about trap cards specifically and being able to utilize them quite fast. So I want to show you guys some examples over here, as I think the archetype is probably going to have a little bit of potential at being a archetype that's all about control and being able to select the right things at the right time. So I'm going to briefly pause to kind of explain things, because there's a lot of things that are really fast and there's so many things to explain. As this archetype, when it was first announced, people were like, trap archetype, it's just not going to be fast enough. Well, the deck does let you set your traps directly from your deck, so that's a huge advantage, obviously, being able to choose exactly what you want at the right time. But in addition to that, you also are able to activate them faster depending on some of the support cards that you do use for the archetype. So the main card is the Amazement Administrator Arlecchino. I'm not sure if the V, it's going to be pronounced V, or if it's an upside down A is what it is. But anyways, they'll probably change the name of the TCG. But this is like the main card in the deck. So whenever a trap is activated except during damage step, you get to summon him. And then on top of that, if something is normal or special summoned, what you're able to do when your opponent summons is that you're going to be able to target one of those monsters, and you get to equip it with a trap from your deck. So that's how you like utilize it. But then on top of that, he also has a really awesome effect where once per turn you can banish any number of the attraction traps from your graveyard. Again, like if it's an upside down A, I'm just going to pronounce it like normal, not like attraction. It wouldn't make sense. But anyways, you can just start popping things like crazy, which is quite awesome, as its point of the archetype is you're getting basically free traps, and you're going to be able to utilize them not only with the normal trap effect of whatever you would get with them, but in addition to that, you also get the ability to use them as like free fuel later down the line. Now I also have to mention, each of the trap effects have two different effects, and I'll go over them in a moment here. But you have an effect where if you're using your monster or your opponent's monster and you're like equipping the card to it. So this card is pretty important, is the Amazing Time Ticket. You can pay 800 life points. It is a quick play, so it gets different effects depending on if it's your turn or your opponent's turn. If it's your turn, you get to go ahead and search out a card from your deck that's an Amazement, and then if it's during your opponent's turn, you get to set an attraction trap from your deck to your spell and trap zone, and it can be activated this turn. This is why this is quite important, as you're able to set any trap that you want that's part of the archetype. He also activates Crusher Run because this card's face down. He wanted to get some burn damage, and not going to be happening today. I don't know if he made this card because he was thinking that this is going to be a slow archetype, as it is kind of trap heavy, and he's like, maybe it's a stall archetype, because a lot of people don't know how to play against the Amazements right now because they're a newer archetype. They don't really get to see that much play, but anyways, he decides to go ahead and activate this, and this card, again, fantastic for popping. And then also you have the Amazement Attendant Kamika. So when it's normal summon, you get to set a trap from your deck to your spell and trap zone. As a quick effect, you can target attraction traps that he's equipped to a monster, and you get to equip an Amazement monster you control or one face-up monster your opponent controls. So that's an awesome ability over there as well. Now this is pretty important for this little setup here. So he decides, you know what, there's too much back row, I'm gonna pop all of them with Robo Galaxy Destroyer, and they can't respond to it. Unfortunately, you can just respond to it when it's summoned. It's not a quick effect. Yeah, it's really just, it's an outdated Yu-Gi-Oh card, but it still should be in rank 10 trains. So anyways, there is a really cool card. So he's activating a Horror House just so he can go ahead and target that face-up monster the opponent has, and then you can equip it to it. And then if it is your opponent, you get to change it to face-down defense position. But that's not the important part of it. He's just trying to take it so his opponent doesn't have it for like just move it to defense mode so he can't attack. But there's a combo with it where it's just any of the Amazement cards. But with Family Face, you're able to target a monster your opponent controls that it's equipped with an attraction trap. You get to equip it to it, and you get to take control of the monster. Now, while you control the monster, it gains 500 attack. It cannot activate its effect, and it's also treated as an Amazement monster, which can be more beneficial for maybe later down the line with some extra support. But yeah, that's the effect. So he goes ahead and takes the guy's card, and it goes away immediately because he gives him a Winged Rider Raw Sphere mode. But that was like his own card, and the Amazement, the main guy over here, which you're going to see over and over again, the Arlecchino, is just going to give you so much free advantage to the point where it's trying to out-resource. That's kind of like the main goal of the deck. So we're going to go ahead and see one of the Buffo. He's the effect where you get to target a attraction trap card and a monster your opponent controls, and you get to equip that card in the graveyard to that opponent. So you get to recycle your stuff, but as a quick effect, you target attraction traps that is equipped to a monster and equip an amazement monster you control, or face up monster your opponent controls. So another good little effect over there. And like I mentioned before, the Arlecchino being able to pop, because you're getting most of those things for free, it's excellent. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's any really good recyclability with the Banish Zone, because that could be really, really good with, of course, Trap Trick, because it then gets rid of all the rest of those because you're banishing the normal trap card, right? But you're able to activate that card immediately because this whole archetype is all about traps. So this does work quite well. And I'll even show you guys a brief little like other build that this guy was doing in the OCG without the trap tricks with Amazement. But this is family face once again, so he's able to go Snatch Steal Monster. As soon as he summons a monster, he will be able to do that. So he's going to go for Kamika, go ahead and set one. So he has the ability to go Snatch Steal. Now he's going to go and be able to pop all the cards, and with nothing left on the field, he can just go swing directly, because, like I mentioned before, Arlecchino is a really, really good card. So, like, you could go for the family face, even if you don't have that extra card, because as soon as they summon the monster, you get to set that card immediately, which is quite cool. Depending on, you know, the right circumstances, you might have to wait, though. That's, even though most of the times you can do things a little bit faster, that is one thing I want to go ahead and mention. But let's go ahead and hop into another duel. Now this one's quite fast over here, but I'm gonna swap it. So the guy goes for a play, going for he's playing in like a Raid Raptor. I think it was a Raid Raptor Phantom Knight deck. Okay, so important thing, he goes for 4 Strix. This gets negated. Now what's really good with this deck is infinite impermanence. Well, it's great in every deck, but in addition to that also does work well with Arlecchino, because you can instantly, if there's a trap card that's activated, you can just go for it. So he goes ahead and searches out another card. Now this guy decides to go for a pass. Now if he was not to pass, and let's say he summons another monster, we'd be able to set whatever we want from our deck. So it doesn't even really hurt us that we negate our opponent's play, and if they have a follow-up play, this card still has pretty decent stats too. The only time it would be bad is against someone that would be able to, like, you know, do some burn damage or something, and like destroy the monster. But his Mantis over here gets failed. Like I mentioned before, this is like a Trap Tricks Dogmatica build. This one is technically OCG over here, but we won't see any of the cards that are on the ban list in this duel. So he goes ahead and does Parallax Seed, goes for Ecclesia, so he can go ahead and make use out of the extra trap cards, because his whole deck is all about traps in the first place. Might as well get some extra advantage. He's using some of the Dogmatica support, so he's going to actually get hit with a Super Poly, and I was like, okay, it's going to be a little bit rough for him. Starving Venom going to be activating that effect. He also uses the Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare, is able to get rid of stuff. I wish they would kind of support the deck via just traps and not the Amazement. Like if you could get the banishment effect off of the main like administrator card, the Arlecchino, but that might be a little bit too strong. But this guy isn't going to really be able to deal with this, because on top of this, he's got the punishment, he's got bottomless, he's basically set up, and once he gets bottomless, he's like, nope. And Sarah's going to be able to activate that effect, and it's pretty much just too much of a loss and advantage. In addition to that, there's a punishment as a follow-up. So you guys can see where this deck is going. I'll give you guys double deck profile, courtesy of Dag and Dante. Shoutouts to both of them, because I'll be showing you guys 2 different deck profiles right now. So as far as the Amazements go, let me go and show you guys 2 different builds for you guys. So this one is the first one that's, well, technically these are all OCG, but the other one has triple max C. Not that it matters, because we didn't see it in the gameplay. It wasn't really important. The first thing I just really wanted to show you guys that Imperm does work. I would max out on Impermanence, and I would max out on Arlecchino, but he's also kind of mixing in other things with his deck as far as the archetype goes. And I think max C is super, super good in the deck. Obviously, being able to draw into your Arlecchino during your opponent's turn will then let you summon it and then start getting more pluses. But this guy's playing like a what I would consider a little bit of a smaller engine, but it was something that I wanted to go show off. But I want to go show you guys this one first, because most of you guys are probably TCG players and you're mostly interested in this list, right? So like I mentioned before, I would max out on Arlecchino and Impermanence if I was to build this deck. And then Kamika, just another fantastic card, lets you just summon, set one immediately, and then Bufo is going to let you recycle some of your cards. Then we got Ash Blossom, that's like a no-brainer. And then Extravagance, and he's also playing Disparity. The reason why is this card is really, really important for the deck, and you don't really need your extra deck too much for this, so I think that these are good options here. And then he's running triple of the Book of Moon. You can also consider the Lunar Book of Moon too, where let me show you. I actually made a video just pretty much dedicated to this, where you discard 1 card, then you get to target 2 2 face-up. Unfortunately, it's not up to 2 face-ups, which means that like you have to hit, like sometimes you want to just hit one monster, which Book of Moon, I guess it kind of does the job. But I was also thinking that this would allow you access to more pops because you'd start throwing those amazement cards. If you draw one of them and it's like dead, you can just utilize it in that aspect of like, I'll let you know, pop a little bit faster, but it is using more of your resources here. But anyways, yeah, that was after Book of Moon, we got Called by the Grave. And then we've got 3 copies of the Amazing Time Ticket. Again, I'd probably recommend 3 of these. You got to go fast in Yu-Gi-Oh! These days, especially if you want a trap-heavy deck. And then we have Family Face, that's the Snatch Steal. We didn't get to talk about this card, so the whole thing is like a theme park, so this is like the little bumper cards. But you get to target Amazement monster you control or face up opponent's monsters. So again, all of them will have 2 different effects. So if it's your card, you get to target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard, change the equipped monster's battle position. If you do, shuffle that target into the deck. So it's kind of like a reset, so if they want to like bring something back, it can be used for that. And then if it's your opponent, you get to increase the equipped monster's level by 1, so you kind of like ruin its play and then also change its battle position, so that can be interesting. But sometimes with against a link deck, it's more conditional, I would say, than anything. But the Cyclone Coaster again has save your opponents and your effect. So if it's you get to target a spell and trap your opponent controls, and you get to send it to the grave, so backward destruction. And then if it's your opponent, you get to add an Amazement monster from your deck to your hand. So you get to, again, pretty much just go for Archetypes majority of the time what you're going to be going for. But you want to activate this earlier on. The reason why is because you want to be able to have him summon again, and then you get the other bonus of Arlecchino to get the extra trap card, and then the Horror House, which we already went over as well, which is like another flip face down effect. And then we got 2 copies of Strike. I think these could be anything that you want. I honestly think Solemn is just a fantastic card. Also, as you don't really want to run into a Lightning Storm, that is one thing where I feel like if you open up with a lot of traps in any trap deck, right, sometimes you set all your back row, you get hit with lightning, and it's a feels bad moment. That's why I would recommend that. I wouldn't really recommend Starlight Road. That was an old school Yu-Gi-Oh card that I think a lot of people do like. I mean, if you get it out, cool, right? But like realistically, Solemn is probably going to be your better option. Not Strike, but I would say Judgment, because like paying life points in this deck, you're not going to be leaving things with like really low attack. I would say generally without having some back row to follow up, right? Like if you go for this card or this card, they're going to let you grab another card to disrupt your opponent in some way. So that it's not like they're going to bring out a strong monster and you have no response unless that monster is Destiny and Dragoon, then that's a problem. But the extra deck, A Zeus is fantastic. You got the Utopia lineup, and then Access Code Dogger. Most of the stuff, like it's like generic stuff that would be considered like rank 4. Like this card's still pretty good too. A Zeus is probably one of the more important cards that if you can make it, it can be very, very good indeed. Now with the other variant, which was the Trap Tricks Dogmatica variant, he was playing like a small engine, but I thought it was more interesting, and I just wanted to show you guys specifically that this interaction does work, because I remember before, people were wondering, does it work if you chain it like in a certain time? Well, obviously, except for the battle phase, or I'm sorry, damage step is the correct term, but it's like turn 1, there's no damage step. Anyways. But yeah, there's also Shade Break Zenith on the trap card, which just gives you access to it. Yeah, this is 2 different builds for you guys. This one I'm just going over a little bit fast now that I went over like the main effects of what would be considered important. But yeah, I think Amazement is going to be an archetype that it will have a niche player base, as it's not like a super fast OTK deck, and it doesn't negate everything your opponent does, although it kind of tries to control with like, you want to summon? Okay, I'm getting this too, so we're going to go for a ride, I think is the idea of the deck. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you guys are new here and you want to see more Amazements or other Yu-Gi-Oh decks in the future, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon. But take care, and I'll catch you on the next video. And I'm signing out. Peace.